All right. Well, I'm here today with BJ Briner, a wonderful artist who was kind enough to agree to do the 2020 festival artwork. And unfortunately, with everything that's going on in the world, we weren't able to have that wonderful festival, but we still do have that wonderful artwork. And I invited BJ to join me today so our audiences could learn a little bit more about her and her beautiful artwork, and maybe talk a little bit about why she was willing to do that for Music in the Mountains. And I'm just so excited, BJ, to have you for a few minutes to get to know you a little bit better and just to express our gratitude for all that you've done for us. But for our audiences that don't know you yet, I pulled up your bio from your website, and I just thought I'd share a little bit of that just to give people a high level overview, and then you can kind of fill in some of the blanks. But her artwork is so beautiful, and it just really spoke to me. But she said, my imagination produces my art, and my surroundings stimulate my imagination. BJ Briner works and lives in the heart of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, and that's where she draws much of her inspiration. Her paintings reflect the bold lines of the high desert plateaus, pastoral settings of the Pueblo, and vistas nuanced in hues where flowers, canyons, and stars become as bold as life itself. So BJ, can you tell us a little bit more about you?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I'm actually a trained graphic designer. I started at American Greeting in Cleveland, Ohio, but I always wanted to do fine art. And, I always remember in college smelling turpentine and oil paint and thinking that's really where I want to go. But you have to have a means of taking care of yourself. So it was either be a teacher, which and it's not my greatest thing, and or it was going to graphic design and illustration, which I was happy to do. So I did that for a number of years, and then I pivoted, like we are pivoting now.
Yeah.
And we just keep pivoting back and forth and around, and moved into fine art. And that's where I've settled, and I my home. That's where I create my environment and what's around me, and I'm happiest here.
Wow.
Kind of skipped around a little bit, being a art director and things like that, but I really like being in my cave and creating.
So has this pandemic sort of been okay for you? Has it changed anything for you?
I think it's pretty much put the brakes on a lot. With my conversations with some of my other artists friends, you're really not exactly sure what to do next, because you're not sure that it's going to, your sales are going to be down, and things seem like, oh my gosh, we're off the ball. So you just have to keep moving and looking into your heart for the next step, what you're supposed to do next. And I think we just keep pivoting. I think I was, you get fractured too. Should I be cooking? I've never been a grocery girl. I never really bought a lot of groceries. I always bought a lot of paint. But I've always gone to the grocery store like every couple of days. And all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, I have to plan for a week.
Let's stock up.
I know. So, we were stocking up, and, that's never happened to me before. So things like that. And, I was stocking up on paper and my supplies, but that turned out to be silly. But, my framer was out of work.
Oh gosh.
My printer, I couldn't get anything printed. So those people were affected by it. So it affected me. But we live in sort of a fractured environment right now, and it worked great with some of my work because I collage also. So what you see in the poster actually comes across, yay!
It's so beautiful. I love it so much.
Thank you. I enjoy, it's kind of a wabi-sabi situation where you have different mementos, things that you've had for a number of years, and they get cut up and they get transformed, and now it's another new creation of art, which is a little bit like nature. You know, nature falls asleep every fall, and it percolates down there and gets its nourishment, and then all of a sudden it comes into fruition, a new landscape to paint. So we just have to keep recreating ourselves.
It's so true and very well stated. And I actually picked up on one of those concepts that inspire you with the landscape that is constant, but also is constantly changing. And
which is so much like music also.
yes, exactly.
So
and
the notes are always there, the kind of flowers are always there.
Yes.
It's the placement and how you sing or how you play your instrument. They're really, really similar venues of
that side of your
creativity.
brain, that creativity. Wow. So for those who are watching, I guess I should probably tell you a little bit about how did we find BJ, and how do we always come up with some new artist to feature each year. And we're very lucky to partner with Sorrel Sky Gallery, which is one of the fine art galleries in Durango. And Shannon Campbell and her team over there are very gracious supporters of music in the mountains, and they suggested BJ as one of their best. And so we were very honored that BJ was willing to commission this artwork for us, or we commissioned this artwork through Sorrel Sky. And I'm really sad that more people this year, because of the pandemic, didn't get a chance to really look at your artwork. But I'm so impressed with the way you and I were able to talk a couple of times early on about a vision, just to give you a little bit of inspiration, not direction, but inspiration. And then you took off, and a couple of months later, we had this beautiful piece, and there were little hidden little treasures in there. Can you talk about that? The number of flowers and things like that.
Well, I knew that you'd been doing the event for 34 years, so I thought immediately on putting 34 flowers in there. I chose things from the Rocky Mountains, and I lived in Durango for a number of years, so I was familiar with the area. And your night skies there are outstanding, so I wanted to make sure we had a night sky. Also the cliffs, the Animas River. Just wanted to represent a few things from the area. Let your imagination go from there.
Yeah, no, it's so fun. I've been counting the number of flowers. And
how'd you come up with 34?
I did, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, so the 34 flowers, and I always like, I guess I'm a little bit cheesy, but the stars of the sky and the stars of the festival. I loved like the little play on words there.
Absolutely.
And so I love the piece, and it is on display at Sorrel Sky right now. So the auction is ongoing until September 24th at 8 p.m. And people are encouraged, please do this. Go to Sorrel Sky and take a look at this gorgeous piece of artwork that BJ put together. And you mentioned your framer. I also read that about you, that you always, you take charge of framing your artwork because it's part of the presentation. And
right, everybody, well, usually a person buys a piece of artwork. And so it's essential that it's presented in a way that, closes in on the piece without being overstated.
Yeah,
the framing is essential.
Stunning. It's just this gold carved, beautiful frame. And it's more traditional. I feel like your artwork might be, is it a contemporary category of artwork?
It is. I would call it expressionistic realism. It's very contemporary.
Yeah.
And Shannon's been so great about incorporating different venues of art in her gallery. I've known her for 20 years.
Yeah, the Sorrel Sky
Gallery. Really lucky that you all are together on this.
We are very lucky to have Sorrel Sky in Durango, and she does do a great job. So what projects are you working on now?
Right now I have a group of collages that I'm working on, just because I'm a bit of a minimalist. And so I've been organizing different palettes of color, and I just hauled everything out of every closet and just kept rearranging what looked right. Seems a little bit like your closet. And then pretty soon, it starts to appear like, what do you want it to look like? What groups go together? So I've been sort of working on that. I'm getting my collaging things ready. And then it's a large area to work on. So I have a very large table. It's 6 feet by 8 feet. So I'm able to just move around and walk around it and see it from different angles. It has some metal in it. So I've incorporated some metal. So it's a little bit of a diversion from what I've been doing, that pivoting again, which I think it keeps you irrigated.
Absolutely.
I think doing different things makes you think differently. You're asking your mind to think differently. So it's a different process for sure.
I can't wait to see the new project. That's going to be neat. But
this process itself this is oil on paper. So it's a layering process. It goes down one color at a time, and it's blended with turpentine, and that's how I move and blend the color with a like oil pencil, and then I move it and generate texture by layering it with turpentine.
My goodness.
I know, it's very precise, and now I'm collaging, which is the other side of it.
How long did it take you to do, like the Summer Symphony? How long did that take you?
It's hours and hours. What's kind of neat about this process is that there's virtually no cleanup. And, in my workshops, this is the exciting part for people, because they're expecting a big mess and they have their rags and they bring everything, but you literally put your pencil down and that's the end of the process. So if I can work for 2 or 3 hours, and then, I can go to the dentist. Although I haven't been to the dentist in a year now,
right?
Because I haven't been able to go to the dentist. But, so I can take breaks, I can go outside, I can hike or do something in between, which really keeps it fresh. And I like that. I like that part of the process.
Absolutely. We need breaks. We need breaks. So, BJ, is there anything else that I'm not asking you that I should ask to let our audiences know about you and about your artwork, and why they should go and bid on that piece for Music in the Mountains?
It's interesting. Art it's essential. Any kind of art is essential, even if you can only afford to buy a print or frame a beautiful card or something that you've gotten. It literally fills a soul hole in all of us. We don't always recognize it, but if you can stop for a moment, even if you go to a gallery, even if you go to a museum and you look at art, it just frees up so many things in your body. It's exciting, and you'll think differently after you.
Oh my gosh, you're totally inspiring me right now. I'm gonna run down to the art gallery and
I know, right? It's just even to look at art is good for you.
Yeah.
It's like medication. It's like being medicated.
I'm just so grateful.
It's spiritual. It answers all those things.
Well, and when you see what other humans can do, it does make you think differently and make you think bigger and make you think more creatively. And
it's no different than music, though. I mean, music is essential for my work. I listen to it when I'm working. And if you're at a concert and you hear music, you're like, sometimes you tingle. It's so, and it vibrates, and it gets into your soul, and it can move you to
tears. It can move you to tears. I had an experience with that, and it came out of nowhere, and I wasn't even sad. I could not stop crying. It hit like some chord in me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Music in the Mountains concert, so of course, And
then we get to walk outside, and then we get to look at our surroundings after one of those concerts. It's pretty incredible. Very fortunate.
We are, all of us down here in the Southwest. We're very, very fortunate. And so, BJ, I just want to say thank you one more time. for your beautiful artwork and your donation to us and all that you're donating to the world from your soul. It's
course.
lovely, and we are very grateful.
I think philanthropy is an important essence.
Thank you. Well, I hope that you continue to stay safe and happy and healthy, away from COVID harm. So
I will.
thank
I
you.
will. I absolutely will. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Adios.
Bye.